You sit down to study, and suddenly, everything else seems way more interesting. Maybe you should check your phone, just one video, right? Or grab a snack. Heck, who needs a degree when you could just move to the mountains and start a farm? Sound familiar? You're not alone. Most students study the wrong way. They waste hours rereading notes and cram right before the test, only to forget everything once the exam is over. But what if I told you there's a better way? A way to study smarter, not harder, so you study faster, remember more, and still have time for your favorite show? Stick around, because the final tip? That's the secret the top students don't want you to know. And it all has to do with how your brain works. Tip 1. Trick your brain into studying. Here's the thing. Your brain is lazy. It likes comfort. And if you give it 3 hours to study, it'll fill those 3 hours with distractions and procrastination. This phenomenon is called Parkinson's Law. Work expands to fill the time you allow for it. In simpler terms, the longer you think you have to study, the more time you'll waste. So how do we hack this? Instead of telling yourself, I have to study for hours, try saying, I'll just do 20 minutes. What, minutes? That's easy. Your brain can't argue with that. When the time seems short, it doesn't resist. And guess what? Once you start, you're likely to keep going. The key here is the Zeigarnik effect. This effect suggests that our brains are wired to remember incomplete tasks. So, if you commit to just 20 minutes, you've created a mental loop that's hard to break, and your brain will naturally want to finish what it started. Tip 2. Learn like a genius. Albert Einstein once said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Want to study like a genius? Teach the material. Here's the trick. Pretend you're explaining it to a 5-year-old. No technical jargon. No complicated terms. Just plain, simple language. When you can't simplify something, that's a sign you don't fully understand it yet. This approach taps into the Feynman technique, named after physicist Richard Feynman. By teaching, you're forced to internalize and organize the information in your own mind. It forces you to break down complex concepts into smaller, digestible pieces, making it easier to remember. Tip 3. Stop rereading. Start testing. Want to remember things twice as fast? Stop rereading your notes. Instead, engage in active recall. Close the book and test yourself on what you've learned. This could be writing out key points from memory or using flashcards to quiz yourself. Active recall works because it triggers retrieval practice. Studies show that actively trying to retrieve information strengthens memory pathways in the brain, making it more likely that you'll retain and recall that information later. Rereading, on the other hand, just gives the illusion of learning. Here's the science. Every time you force your brain to recall information, you're making new connections, and it makes those connections stronger over time. That's neuroplasticity at work. Tip 4. The timer trick for instant focus. Ever notice how you get super focused right before a deadline? That's urgency kicking in, and you can create that urgency whenever you want. Set a timer for 30 minutes and treat it like the clock is ticking down on a big test. Go all in, no distractions. After 30 minutes, take a 5-minute break, stretch, move around, or check your phone without guilt. Repeat. This technique leverages the Pomodoro technique, a time management method that creates bursts of hyper-focused work followed by short breaks. Your brain loves this cycle because it taps into the dopamine reward system. The anticipation of a break releases dopamine, keeping you motivated and focused during your study sessions. Tip 5. Work smarter, not harder. Let's be honest, not everything you study is equally important. This is where the 80-20 rule comes in. It says that 80% of your results come from just 20% of what you study. So stop focusing on irrelevant details. Instead, identify the topics that will actually show up on your test. How? Check past exams. Ask your teacher what's most important. If you already know a topic, move on to something else. This is an example of Pareto's principle in action, which is rooted in decision-making and efficiency. By concentrating on the critical 20% that yields the highest returns, you maximize learning efficiency, minimizing time wasted on less relevant information. This is the key to maximizing your productivity without burning out. Tip 6. The real shortcut to better learning. Now, you could use every study hack in the world, but if your brain isn't properly processing information, it'll all be for nothing. Here's the truth. Your brain doesn't store information while you study. It stores it while you sleep. That's right. Sleep is the ultimate cheat code. The process of consolidating memories into long-term storage happens during sleep. This is the brain's way of filing away all the information you've learned during the day. Studies show that pulling all-nighters or staying up late cramming actually hinders your memory retention. And don't forget exercise. Even a short walk can help. Physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, enhancing cognitive function and memory retention. So, after a study session, get moving. There you have it. 6 science-backed tips to study smarter, not harder. Use timers to stay focused. Teach someone else, or pretend to test yourself instead of rereading. Set short study sprints and apply the 80-20 rule to focus on what truly matters. Get enough sleep, and don't forget to exercise. Your brain will thank you. But here's the most important part. Don't just watch this and move on. Take action. Try one of these tips today. Let me know in the comments which one worked best for you. Ready to unlock your brain's full potential? Hit that subscribe button and let's keep improving together. You've got this.